being discreet has been lost. That's really what it boils down to. The art of being discreet is totally lost.
That part.
Because
That part.
everybody was still doing the
I
same
think,
thing. You didn't hear
Facts.
about it.
Facts.
yeah, I think it has to do with validation. This whole generation wants to be validated, and so you can get
That's a good
validation
point.
that you're beautiful, that you're wanted. Being wanted is so important by this generation that even if it's in a bad way, it doesn't matter. I want everyone to know that everybody thinks I'm the baddest, I'm the best. I slept with 10 guys, but listen, 9 more are gonna sleep with me tomorrow because I am just that amazing. The validation, it just keeps going on and on. I think it really has a lot to do with the kids not knowing their value and needing to be validated by others so much is so important to them that they keep doing this. And when it's on top of that, it's more like like little star charts. Like they like to see that they've been validated with 3 stars this week. Okay, so there's it's like you're really wanting validation for it doesn't matter if it's bad behavior. I still got a guy to like me. I still got a girl to sleep with me. It doesn't matter. I'm being validated that no matter what happens, and the worse it is, like the Christiana and all the worse it is, that means the more they love them. Like you see how creepy that is?
Mm.
The more that someone treats you like crap, as long as they stay there, that means it's validated that whatever you're doing is working. But it's not.
I bet she ain't leave, old dude. I bet he be like, baby, I was just playing. He probably was able to
Right. They go
right.
high
Probably
five in the
still
corner,
feel
have sex out in the street. That don't make no sense. Mm-mm.
Don't
Validation.
play with me like that.
The
And
90s,
that's
he would have been
why,
white.
and that's
So,
why
so
to
does
answer
anybody do you want to
the
wrap this up? Because
statement.
we still haven't gotten to the meat and potatoes, and it is almost 2 o'clock. What does
Well,
anybody have anything to say so we can move on?
I
I
do
just
just
want
one
to say
thing
one
real
thing.
quick, real
Mhm.
quick. This won't take but a second. I want everybody out there and listening to this podcast to know Beans and AP get into it at least one show
Mike,
when they on
Mike,
one topic.
let me move
What
on.
is that?
No,
Oh,
go ahead.
You know it's HD. We've confirmed that already.
No, it was Polly. She muted it. But go ahead.
Look, I just wanted to see what you was gonna say.
Beans and AP will get into at least one disagreement whenever they're on a pod together. But I love my
Absolutely.
brothers.
Absolutely. Love you too, bro. Yeah. Come on. Who wants them Kumbaya podcasts? Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
Yes, Marky Mark. This is important to me because it showed we just talked about, I think HG brought this up earlier, and he was talking about us, putting ourselves out there as an entertainer. When we do stuff like that, it's keeps going because it makes us look bad. Things that make us look bad, like I can't remember on what point he brought that up on, but it's like everything we do, they emphasize the things that we do bad. And I brought this up because, and when I see the video, it's gonna make sense. I was trying to do a single motherhood stat and mistaken noses. So I Googled percentage of Black women who are childless, right? And all I kept seeing was 70% of the Black kids are born out of wedlock, right? And it was just like, and that's not what I asked. I didn't ask about the kids because kids born out of wedlock can be per kid. Sally Mae could have 5 kids, and that's going into the 70%. I wanted to know the percentage of Black women who did not have kids. And I found one study that was published in July of 2023 that stated 44% of Black women who are kid-bearing age do not have children, period. Which means 56% of women have kids. And of that percentage, those kids are born out of wedlock. So 70% of kids, and we all know that when people are married, they have less kids, right? When people are, it seems to be that when people are not married, they have more kids. So obviously, when she has 10 or 7 kids, that's going to go in that 70%. But it makes it look like, because what they do is they emphasize, but 70% of the kids are born out of, because that looks worse than saying, well, 44% of Black women don't even have kids. You understand what I'm saying? And that story continues. Then I saw another study. It was like, well, it was like an overwhelming amount of Black women who had kids. And then if you look at the study, it was between the ages of 40 and 44. Well, that's a normal time to have had kids, right? And so I just noticed, and it made me think, like, why do they do that? Like, they always emphasize the negative when it comes to us. Even when we look at stuff when it comes to fatherhood, and you see that article, and it states that, hey, Black men are the most involved fathers, you know, and it's hidden, tucked away under all the old deadbeats and all this kind of stuff. But you got to find that one article that states this. And you see it all the time. It's never the first thing that comes up, the second thing, the third thing. You got to dig in there to see the real stuff when it comes to us. And I just feel like it's a what am I trying to say? It's a strategy. Even when it comes to the music, what about the love songs? We don't you hear that no more. It's the bad stuff, like, oh, guns, going to jail, drugs, blah, 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 blah. You know, love, some in there, some R&B in there somewhere, but it's always the bad stuff that's emphasized. And that, I'm going to go into the video right now, and then I want you to discuss it, okay? Give me 2 seconds.
How did they become so good at this? In your studies, how did white people become so good at the strategy of oppression on many climates? It's not even like, well, we was good at this in Africa, but we don't know how to do it in Mexico. The consistency and the efficacy of their oppressive manners is so prevalent that I find myself ever so often being like, this got to be supernatural. Are they the aliens? Because they're the only life on Earth that doesn't, that the sun doesn't help. Is it cultural?
Some historians like talk about, you know, the Dark Ages in Europe and how there was just so much war. When there's a tremendous amount of war anywhere in the world, what's going to happen is those people are going to develop better technologies to harm each other or to defend themselves. And ironically, that's why when we see all these movies about like pre-modern Europe, it's always about war.
It really is always about war. You just cracked a code.
How did they become so good at this? I mean, they got the whole world thinking they are, all of us. I mean, brown people, some of the smartest people in the world. And they're like, you know, I mean, everybody's like worshiping, and I hate to say this on YouTube. I love, you know, I'm not against white people, but what I'm just saying is, how did it get this way? Like, how much power? Because I'm thinking, I can see a Black man hit a white guy. And if you put a white guy with a Black guy together, he's so much stronger. Not always. You know, it's just like, how are we continually losing this fight? I mean, a lot of races, not just one, a lot. It's weird. It's crazy to me.
The same game has worked since the beginning of them going out and doing what they did in colonization. Is divide and conquer. You take a small amount of forces and you turn people against each other so they fight. You instigate and stand in between those two people, and then you align yourself with the force of power, and you implement somebody in control of those people. And it's a pyramid, right? The person at the top is controlling those two people under them, and they're extremely good at creating systems. And those systems then get internationally used, and then they do best practices. Like take for instance South Africa. I think they got apartheid from looking at the discrimination in America. Or no, it was Germany. They took what they did with them. One of the what, you know, I can't think of it right now, but they used best practices across different groups that they did this with to make sure that they had the most effective version of it, be it apartheid or what they would call like the ghettos in Germany, right? You do that, and you have to be in control of your narrative. One of the things that I always talk about is propaganda and leverage, right? So when you control the means of thought, you essentially control the world, right? Because if you can embed an idea into someone, it becomes inception. And it's like the elephant on the string. The elephant could easily break that string, but once he believes the string is the chain is forever. And we're all like stuck in that wheel. I think I used the example of when you have 10 people in a room that are higher actors standing up and sitting down when the bell beeps, and then you slowly transition all those people out, and as new people come in, they start standing up and sitting down when the bell beeps. When all 10 of those actors are gone, the 10 people that replace them will stand up and sit down when the bell beeps. Because as much as we want to think people are independent thinkers, they're not. They're really not. Most people will go along and get along and are afraid to not conform and want to make sure they fit in with whatever is the status quo. And by doing that, you had this phrase that's coined like the banality of evil. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it, but it just essentially says that people follow orders to the detriment of anyone if incentivized to, and they won't view themselves as wrong. They'll look at it as they're just following orders so they could place any blame on the person that gave them the orders. You do that and mix it with the pyramid, and you had this whole system.
And I'm not saying
This
start a
guy
war. I'm not
here,
what I'm saying, and then I want to add to that. I'm not saying start a war. We can all be in harmony. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, even in the mind of how you think of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to just thinking you are beautiful, what's more beautiful than this? Or you doing stuff to down yourself. We literally call each other, we call ourselves bitches and hoes. We call ourselves that. We call ourselves all these bad things. Nobody has to say it for you. You say it about yourself. So how do we get such to the point where it's like
stand up, sit down? It's literally what I just described.
Yeah, he just explained it. And then you know what's so crazy? I'm gonna say this and I'm done. I don't have to answer. I don't have an answer because he took them all. Boy, Marcus, that was the best answer I've ever heard to a question on the podcast ever. And that's not hyperbole.
I appreciate that.
I do. God, bro.
Enos.
That was everything, bro.
Go ahead, Enos.